Innovation really drives competitive advantage, also in the hygienic manufacturing industry. But really, how? And in this episode, we're talking about how to establish leadership in the hygienic manufacturing market, and we want to dive into what really sets market leaders apart, and also how innovators, they are actually revolutionizing hygienic manufacturing and the industry as a whole. Now, my name is Mikkel Svold, and today I'm joined by Jacob Esker, who is the president of sales in the Americas of NGI. And you're here in Denmark, so welcome to you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. Beautiful weather.
Well, you're lucky today then.
Yes.
I want to start off by just kind of zooming in on what does leadership actually mean in this context, and
Sure.
and why is it so important right now? What do you think?
Yeah, ultimately, we provide and go into industries that rely heavily on consumer confidence, right? Food manufacturing is a direct consumer product. And when you're in the manufacturing side, that's utmost of importance. So that can go away in a second. We've certainly seen that in the last couple of years continue to accelerate, especially the way social media works, right? So ultimately leaders, there's a saying that goes, a rising tide lifts all boats.
Mm-hmm.
And so being a leader in the industry, you need to be that tide, as if you will, to future-proof your designs, to be innovative, to be forward-thinking, to be first to market. Because when we do that, then there's followers. And then when there's followers, everyone gets better. And then we continue to improve the industry. So that is the utmost importance.
And actually, that kind of it talks right into what we just talked to Thijs in the last episode about knowledge sharing, information sharing, and how that kind of drives innovation. Where one of my questions to him was, when you share knowledge, are you not afraid that your competitors will pick it up and then just overtake you? And what is your answer? I'm gonna
Sure.
the same question to you basically, because if you're the tide, well, all of your competitors will rise with you.
Yeah, I'm going to use another metaphor, right? So if you're in a race, right, and you're racing by yourself, you're probably not going to go very fast in a 100-meter dash, right? But if someone's behind you, say Usain Bolt, the adrenaline kicks in and you push harder. So if you do have a competitor come in the space, good. Competition breeds more innovation. More innovation moves the industry forward. Especially when you have strong brands, then you can be recognized as an industry leader. So at the end of the day, it's nothing but a good thing. When we lack competition, especially if there's not that drive to be innovative, then things don't just stay stagnant. And that's problematic for industry as a whole and for companies.
Yeah, and also, I guess the drive for development should come from the industry itself, not from legislation and third party people.
Correct.
Surrounding.
Yeah, because it then moves too slow. Companies have shown for decades now that when might and resources are available and capital are available, then things move quickly. Especially in the last 3 years, we've seen a vaccine development that has been supercharged.
Yeah.
Right, and that's governments, of course, played a part. But at the end of the day, local industry and corporate environments really made that happen.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. It was quite tremendous to witness, actually. Yeah. Now, when we look at the hygienic manufacturing, hygienic innovation, and that whole industry, are there any characteristics or practices that kind of differentiates market leaders from, I guess, regular players in the market, or someone who's
Sure.
maybe not pushing the forefront?
Yeah. So I think when you're a regular player, you are ultimately there to maximize your profit. And there's nothing really wrong with that inherently. There's always going to be someone in the market like that. It is what it is. But if you really want to be a leader, then you need to take risks. And a lot of times that risks includes capital expenditures. It includes putting a certain percentage of your revenue into innovation, right? And when you put that money there, then things continue to improve. When you're just an industry standard, you're just maximizing your cash flow and money. And so you're just doing your day-to-day and you're just there to improve your efficiency.
But Jacob, isn't that a better place to be? Because pushing money into innovation, well, ultimately that's going to it's going to have a cut on your bottom line, right?
Yeah.
So isn't it better to be, not the front runner, but number 2 up or 5 up?
Well, I would say you look at industries throughout the years. I mean, if you're the people who are manufacturing typewriters, why, or let's say Apple, right? I mean, that's a really good example. They made computers. If they continue to only make computers, would they be the company they are today?
I would probably guess that iPhone is their biggest revenue driver.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah, right. So, and they were the first, phones existed, but they innovated them, right? And so we see throughout time, not just in the food manufacturing space, but in manufacturing as a whole, those who do not innovate go by the wayside. And so, yes, you can maximize your profit in the short term for Q1, Q2, but if you want to win in 2028, 2030, you need to innovate.
And does that also go for the hygienic sector or hygienic manufacturing and manufacturing, I guess, in general?
Of course.
Why?
Again, it comes back to consumer confidence. Hygiene is utmost important to the safety of anybody. When you see any sort of outbreak that leads to a recall, there is a dip in the consumer confidence of that company, and that has long-term effects. And if you continue to ignore that and not invest and not innovate, those continue to happen. And so if we can't keep that consumer confidence, what we talked about at the beginning, then you just get overtaken and someone will take your market share. And so we need, as the manufacturing side, need to take all our stakeholders and bring them in the room and see where the problems are. And when we take a look at all those issues, we can innovate inside that.
Now, NGI, of course, is a Danish-based company, but if we kind of jump across the pond to your domain, do you see the consumer focus developing towards more focus on hygiene, more focus on development process, or not producing or processing processes? That was, manufacturing processes. Do you see the shift at the consumer level as well? Because that's, at least from our point of view, that's like a couple of steps down the line, because that's even further down than just the machine machine builders. It's beyond the brand owners,
right.
the food producers. Yeah,
because I think we've, if you take a step back and look at the food producer himself and just outside the OEM realm, we saw a shift years ago to cleaner eating, to sustainability, to local ingredients, non-GMO, right? And that to some degree, eating clean can be seen as maxed out a little bit, I think. And so now it's a look at, is your food safe? Right. And we certainly have seen Netflix has done a really nice job bringing stuff to light, right? And showing really what's beyond the food. And people want to know, where does their food come from? And so if you're not cleaning plants and that's being shown by a documentarian, again, it goes back to your consumer confidence in your product. And so no one wants that. They want to be seen as someone, if you eat something, it's a safe product that's also healthy to eat. And we can't have that if we can't focus on the machine manufacturer that actually makes your food.
So basically, what I hear you saying is that, product managers or producing, people producing or in charge of production and food production, the entire, I guess, production chain, so to say, they have a tremendous impact on, I guess, brand value, sales value that comes along with it. And is that something that, should you be frightened by that responsibility, or should you be encouraged? Does that make sense?
I guess it comes down to the person, but in my personal opinion, it's you should be encouraged that you have that value on all stakeholders now.
And what are some of the challenges that you see in the industry? In an industry that tries to kind of shift their way into more hygienic design, what are the challenges that you see?
Ultimately, it's this, we see companies that are, I think the challenge is for anybody is to, okay, you are that tide, you are that leader, and you innovate, right? But then you stop innovating. Like you came out with whatever, a widget that was the most innovative widget that made it more cleaner to design, eat or clean, whatever. And now we've made it and we've created market share. The trouble is then you stop And then when you stop, it doesn't take its next step forward in progression. Right. And so that's the problematic is when you reach, come out with something super innovative. It's like, well, I've got the best thing. Well, someone will come up or the industry will change and you need to keep looking at improving that product or bringing new products that continue to move everything forward.
But in practicality, how do you actually do that? Because your company just grew from, say, a good handful of people who did some great innovation and now suddenly it's exploding and you have, say, 1,000 employees. And how do you keep pushing that innovative energy? What do you see of best practices out there?
Ultimately, it's investing in your CapEx to say, because as you get bigger, you also have more revenue as a company, right? And so you do have the financial might if you choose to do that. So it's being mindful to take and say, I'm going to take X amount of my profit every year and reinvest it back into innovation. We see that here at NGI. That's what makes us a very proud company. And others do that too. And so that's why you want to see that out of a leader in industry that just doesn't, okay, we reinvest in our operations or something like that. Yeah, it's still CapEx, but specific CapEx towards R&D and engineers and people who that's their sole responsibility is to go out to stakeholders, to go out to the food manufacturers, to go out to your customers and see where the gaps are and then be the person that fills those gaps.
And do you have any concrete examples of companies that does that or some best practices?
I like to think here at NGI we do that, right? So I hate to be selfish and promote that, but it's the easiest one is to use your own. If we're talking in industry, we can certainly look outside the industry. We talked about Apple earlier, right? They continue to put out products out there, but if we're talking hygiene manufacturing, here at NGI, we put 15% of our profits back into R&D.
Wow!
And we've come out with certified products that no one's ever thought of before. And so we like to think and we'll continue to do that. And so we hope that we can be that rock for the industry and people can look to us and say, if they've got a product, we know they've invested not just to do a product, but to be the leader in the market.
Now, with evolution of products and methods and ways of producing things and designing things, innovation, it's evolving all the time. And how do you, as a company, what can you say, kind of future-proof your market leadership? If, okay, say we push 15% to research and development, then what?
Yeah. Well, I think ultimately you have to, it's not just CapEx spend, right? People can spend money for the sake of spending money, but it's being in touch. As you mentioned, Tice talked about in previous episodes, it's bringing your stakeholders in and having a conversation and knowledge sharing through the industry is utmost importance, and it ties into each other, right? Because your customers will tell you their problems. Your consumers will tell you the problems, what they want. They'll vote in their dollars. And so, but if you're just insulary, then you don't really innovate. But if you can talk and bring everyone to the room, then that's how you move it forward.
Just a side note here, do you see any like red flags or something that will kind of be a telltale that you should be innovating more?
It's a good question. I haven't really thought through that before. I don't have a really good answer for that one, to be honest.
But I guess if customers start moving away from you, that'll be a pretty good sign.
That's the obvious one, right? If people stop buying, then you've got a problem.
Yeah, but it also might be too late.
Yes.
Right? Because it's going to be harder to win them back once they get used to some other sub vendor. Now, Jacob, our time's already up. But is there anything that you think we should add or something that we haven't really talked about?
It's a good question. I think
probably a lot.
Yeah, we've covered a lot, and so I hope everyone's learned a lot, and certainly, I hope everyone thinks through and wants to bring other people on board. So we as an industry can come together and make decisions that are good for everybody, and that we're just not insulary in our practices.
All right, Jacob Esker, thank you so much for joining, and to our listeners out there, don't forget to, what was it I should say? Smash the subscribe button.
That's right.
Hit
Smash
the subscribe button
hit the subscribe button, baby.
If you want to listen more on future episodes and get valuable insights, obviously, into this industry of hygienic manufacturing. That's it for now. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much.